Morning, Jimmy.
You look like a 50s guy now. I mean, you're tight on the side. You got the hair kind of. It's very much the Michael Douglas look on. What was that movie he did where he went crazy with the rifle in L.A.?
Oh, that does sound familiar, but
It wasn't called Breaking Bad. But I'm not saying you're gonna lose it, but you're looking pretty sharp.
Well, I talked to my agent, and he's like, Barm, you're short, you're fat, and you're ugly. You got to do something, mix it up, put on some glasses or something like that. Not really. We've got, every kid in the house has like either an ear infection or an eye infection. Yesterday, my eye was swollen up like, I think it was Will Smith and Men in Black or something like that. We were like, it's not that bad. Marky was just trying to make it fair, me having one eye. That's what I'm saying.
No, you're looking good, man. You're looking good. That's why I can anyway, boy, crazy, right? Very interesting day.
Well, I'll tell you what. On Monday, spotted a big boy in the tape, mostly on NQ. I don't know who was on live stream at the time. It was the Orderflow guys. I guarantee they were talking about it. But there was a pretty sizable seller. I don't believe he was just a seller taking profits. We have a saying that when we see one of these big boys show up, they're usually not here to be wrong. So yesterday, we got some follow through to the downside and some weakness, but as we've talked about a number of times, we clearly did yesterday, and that just forms a multi-day balance. So I've got the NASDAQ up first. Like we talked about, a double top. For me, that's effectively what happened is we back tested the top of the balance, right? So we formed a lower balance. So we've been seeing this a lot, in these strong uptrends, where we form some kind of multi-day balance. And normally you would look like the next day to take trades off that balance. But they've been doing it like in one day. Basically, it's like, we found bottom of balance. Let's just rip it back to the top. It's been very bullish. And that's basically what happened, right? So, we had consolidation Monday. We could sell yesterday, so it takes out Monday's low. It comes down. It takes Friday's low, cash hours basis. It's just a little bit in between of last week's volume and fine bids, right? I mean, no real surprise. Trap sellers are going to produce some demand there. And then we get the crazy overnight move comes all the way back up to the top, and it's just a back test raw, from below. So it is the resolution of that 3-day balance that matters the most, right? So Blake mentioned, you would have to break, looking at from a perspective and calling it a potential double top. You still got to break the neckline, and you still got to break the bottom, right? So from my perspective, it's just a 3-day balance, and it is the resolution of that balance that matters the most, right? If you break it to the upside and go, then it is what it is. Trend continues. This thing stays in an uptrend. Keep in mind, we have not broken a multi-day balance to the downside since the low. We have not had a downtrend on even a 30-minute chart since the low. We formed a couple of multi-day balances, and every single one has resolved to the upside. So that would then be the first change in character, and all that would do is, I think you have to operate under the assumption that you're in a daily higher low at that point. We wouldn't have one. There has been no daily higher low, and that's just if we break this to the downside, just because we sold off a little bit on the high ones. Doesn't mean that we are going to bring it to the downside. It just means we found resistance where we should have, and the news just happened to magically come for a rally at the top of that range. So, to me, while we are trading inside this range, we can expect to increase. And again, it's the resolution of that balance that matters the most. So, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, and now, anyways, box out the last leave this 800, 817. We're coming back to 25s. We've got 506 to 537 would be my spot. And we talked over the weekend on Sunday. I mentioned that it could be a scenario where yes, still bull gas again. You got to consolidate here. Reasonable to assume that that's going to be constructive. Though at this point, if you were to characterize ES as a 3-day balance, which I kind of am, kind of not. I think it's more. I think it might be 4 or 5. But if you break yesterday's low, I don't think you want to necessarily call that a downtrend just yet. I think you want to see this full gap offer because we could just build out, 3, 4, 5, 6, days in this range here. So I would be a little bit careful getting caught short looking in more. We'll say this low on the and the way that we reversed, the spot on NQ was perfect. The spot on ES was perfect. But the way that we reversed it horrid it was like, really? I mean, just leave this terrible low and then just open I think it was a 1 p.m. open, 30-minute candle, just went God bid out of nowhere. It was kind of dumb. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see us repair that low, whether that's today or later on. We'll see. NQ, the low is not quite as bad, but still not really a great situation. So that's a big picture. I'll let you chime in and talk about some of the trades that come to
I'm
mind.
looking at, going back to the NASI chart, I'm looking at, Monday we had a relatively small range. Yesterday we had a huge range. Today, right now, it's relatively small range. And I know the bell hasn't rung yet, and I know we've just had some bad news, but it's almost looking like an inside kind of day, if you know what I mean, so far. But, again, the bell, once the bell rings, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody gets max bearish on the way down, right? And all we're doing is finding where the edges of our balance are going to be. That's all we were doing. And it's hard on these potential trend change days. So like yesterday, if you were just buying support, you kind of lost a few of them, right? You kind of blew up, hit that reset button. Those are the kinds of things that happen. You have to understand, Kelly talks about market environment all the time. What regime are we in? And when we're just framing higher every day, making higher highs, higher lows, it's like you can just buy support and if you're wrong, you'll probably get bailed out. But then yesterday, the first day that you're ending framing higher on the daily, you have to make an adaptation, right? You have to adjust and say, okay, well, wait a minute. I can't just buy every single support and it may not work out the same. But the dip still will be off because you still have to find some kind of balance. And we've talked about when that happens, you're going to get a back test higher every time. This was a back test higher. Is it a back test higher that then fails, proceeds lower? Or is it a back test higher that rips out the top? Yet to be seen, right? So I'll flip over 5 businesses. But you're right. We're inside of this box. And so to me, that's a giant F around and find out. You can trade it both ways. If you have your bias, then you can attempt to front run some kind of a break one way or the other in alignment with that bias, right? So really the last 2 days the big seller came in originally on Monday. I want to say it was right around 420 initially. They did bring it higher and he just sat there passive and I don't know, took 669 contracts or something like that and just stepped on it. You would want to be sure by some top range because that kind of ship has sailed, right? You've got to love when all the fun has happened. We were looking for dips in this 058 or 081 range. Did that last night. What's left for us? Now that we got the dip buy last night, we get the sell the top of balance. And here we are talking what the hell we can do. I would say broadly, you're going to see increasing weakness in these 218s, 238 are offered or back into yesterday's range. I guess you could maybe get a failed push through this overnight low. But if you're seeing traction through an overnight low again, keep in mind it's kind of how it started yesterday, right? You get traction below an overnight low, higher day low, and an IB low break. Sellers had it yesterday, right? some demand left from behind, from yesterday from behind, that would be a decent spot that I would consider it. I mean, like, again, you have to just be wary of the fact that, you know, if we see something, like, I would have loved to buy this spot, if I didn't see all this. And for me, it gets a slight downgrade, because then it would be, the context would be, you know, we've failed top of balance. We've taken out an overnight low, and given all this back, right? So those are the things that I think about. I had to think about yesterday, is, okay, I've got an area that I really like it. What's the context here, right? Who's running in charge today? So if we had traded lower first, I'm buying this 10 times out of 10. This situation, I'm probably still gonna, you know, I'm gonna be looking to buy it, but it's not to me like an instant buy. But I would add that, like, if we come all the way back down, this is a multi-day balance. So a failed break to the downside is just a big ass long. So sellers must break this to the downside with continuation to even have short time frame flip. We talked about this on Sunday. Sarah talked about it. You know, like, we're nowhere near shifting high time frames to bearish or intermediate time frames to bearish. So breaking this balance to the downside would bring short time frames to bearish. We're not there yet, right? So
Yeah, no,
failed
so
break.
that's an interesting point of view. I mean, yesterday, you know, usually when we spend a lot of time underneath the session VWAP, it's like, all right, we're not going to recover. We're below the session VWAP for a long period of time. Yesterday, I got my face ripped off thinking that, you know, we broke above it, and we kind of really into the close. Today, I'm looking at this and like, all right, we're below session VWAP right now. Again, I know I'm valuing wrong, but I just got to, you know, when you say these, you know, where are we on a time frame point of view, bearish or bullish, I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah, you definitely can't get too comfortable on the bear side. So, you know, the major trades off of the multi-day balance range are the low fail is a long. And so that's where, like, we could still punch through yesterday's low, clean it up a bit. In this 700 to 726 range, I used that last week, so I added it on for today. Could potentially find buyers there. You would have to get back above this 8559, probably at least 800, 817 to feel comfortable with a long in that situation. Obviously, upside break and continuation is also a long. If we come all the way up and then we get a, you know, failed break to the upside, we go above the fail, the multi-day balance, that's a short, but then you apply context and you know, how antsy am I to be short here, right? And then if you have a downside break with continuation, that would be a short. So 945, 975, I would look at, and I'll consider it, even though it's below, you know, the overnight low. That would be iffy on ES. You know, this 7405, 74, I don't know, I kind of feel like this might be the spot to sort of manage and gauge your bias for today, because it should be. I'm kind of annoyed that they held just above. It was 7410 exactly, which was what they was at Monday's low and a prior day high. We had a core high there previously. So I think if you get a failed push to this overnight low, 7405, 08 bids, then I think you look at it and say, okay, maybe both are here today. Maybe we're going to be okay. I think if you start giving that back meaningfully, you probably got to hold off on the buy line for a bit and see. Because again, the potential after failing the top of the balance is almost perfect on ES, is to come back to the bottom. So treat it all as a range. You know, just watch your session trend, your session profiles, how that's forming both sides, expresses control, and roll with it. Two-way trading inside, and then you have the trades for if and when it breaks or fails to break.
Awesome. Hey, Farm, hang tight one sec. I got a couple announcements to make. And thank you, by the way. Awesome commentary. I really appreciate you. We got a couple announcements. Now, remember, the Arena Challenge is kicking off on Monday. It's not too late to join. There's going to be a link in the chat if you want to join, or just go to ninjatrader.com and you'll be able to register. $250,000 in cash prizes. It's going to be awesome. We are also, if in the event that we get 500 likes and 1,500 viewers or 1,500 viewers, we are going to spin